Yeah, I'm David Heynen. I'm the promoter slash producer of all the Fanboy Expo events.
Great. And so how exactly did Fanboy start? Like what's the history of Fanboy and what is it exactly that you do as the promoter?
Well, as the promoter, I pretty much plan the event from start to finish every year and in every city. So almost everything has to run through me, just because of how connected everything is. Everything from the vendors to the attendees to the celebrities, they're very connected, and I need to be involved in that decision, just so that we have a show that I feel like it's going to run smoothly. And we've done probably 35 or 40 of these now over the last going on 11 years. So usually I know what's going to work and what's not. A lot of times somebody like the convention center will come to me and be like, okay, we plan on doing this. And I'm like, that's not going to work. We're not doing that. You have to do this instead. And they'll be like, no, we got to do this. And I'm like, nope, it's not going to work. You have to do it like this. And it's just because we've tried that before at some point and we know it doesn't work,
Yeah,
so,
gotcha.
So that's pretty much what my job is. And the convention itself, many people around the East Tennessee area think that we are somehow connected with the AdventureCon shows that were happening back in the early 2000s, and we are not. They actually were a show that ended in maybe 2010, and we started in 2012. And I had a buddy that kind of knew a little bit about the business in East Tennessee. Actually, knew a lot about the business. And I just said, I knew Tennessee was a good area. I had been a vendor there before at the Adventure Cons, and I just said, hey, let's do our own convention. And I had no idea what it was. So.
And here you are.
And here we are. Yeah, that first year was brutal, absolutely brutal.
So Knoxville is pretty much driven by, you've been doing things in Knoxville, but like, what goes into your decisions on other cities and other possible locations and extending it to other places? What catches your eyes about certain cities?
Well, we for a long time we're trying to stay on top of what cities did not have either a major convention or didn't really have something that is kind of like what we do, but had either the population or the like the nerd crowd that would support it. And that kind of drove us to expand into those cities. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times we're just trying different areas to see what kind of a response that we get. And usually we know at the Sunday of the first show whether or not we're going to come back again, just because of how the crowd reacted.
So there's obviously been some cities that you're just like, yeah, we're not coming back here.
Yeah, and believe it or not, Nashville is one of those that we're like, we're not coming back here. So and it's weird because you would think a place like Nashville would be such a huge market, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's nothing against the Nashville people; they're great, but Nashville is kind of one of those places, kind of like Vegas is, kind of like LA is. There's so much going on. It's really difficult to get people connected with what you're doing. But the other big problem in a place like Nashville is doing the show is so expensive because everybody wants to do their convention in a place like Nashville. So the hotel rooms are higher, the event space is higher, the buying a hot dog at the event is higher than So it's all of those things, and we have to factor all of that in when we're planning a show.
Oh.
So as the promoter of the show, and you said all the decisions have to go through you. When you're planning your guest list for your celebrity guests, and that's obviously a huge factor in promoting the show, like, hey, we got this person that's going to draw the people in. So do you try to book your guest with a certain theme in mind?
Yeah, I mean, we have the staples of either genres or fandoms that we always try to have. We always try to have wrestlers out there. We always try to have Star Wars. We always try to have like voiceovers from like Disney or, but yes, we, from the beginning, we kind of made a decision, or really I made the decision to really attract a little bit older of a geek crowd. So most of what you'll see with us is a lot more nostalgia based, rather than what's happening, what's really hot right now. And that's by design for a couple of reasons. One is because a crowd of people like me typically will have more money than a crowd of 20-year-olds. And we want them to come in there and spend money with celebrities and with the vendors and with the artists, and spend money in the city. And it's this whole big thing that 20-year-olds come to the door and they just don't have as much money to spend. So that was one thing. But the other thing is, when we first started doing the shows, The Walking Dead was really hot. And those guys had really broken out and really actually helped the industry quite a bit, because they were the first really big TV show that was having their celebrities come out to shows. And then it got followed up by, all the rest. I mean, Arrow and everything else. But the problem is, when you book somebody from an Arrow or from Walking Dead and they're still a working actor, there's a really big high chance that they're going to cancel on you if they get some other kind of work. So we try to book to avoid that, because you may want, Norman Reedus at your show, but it doesn't do any good if he cancels 3 days before the show,
Lord, yeah.
So it's been real strategic for us to be able to do that. And the other thing too is, I have never really wanted to compete any more than I have to with the big, what I call the corporate cons, the conventions that are owned by big corporations, because I can't compete with them. Like, the only way that I can do that is to be different, and to be more appealing in a different way than what they're doing.
Yeah.
So following up on that question about booking the guests and all that stuff, and you don't have to, name any names or anything like that, of course, but have you ever had to consider ego and personality conflicts, and this celebrity, like for example, the Star Trek guys, the old school Star Trek guys, everybody knows they don't get along.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wrestlers who bash each other on podcasts or in their books or whatever. So do you ever have to consider that when you're trying to plan your guests?
Yes, we definitely have to consider that, as we did actually last October, because we did have George Takei and William Shatner and Walter Koenig there. And while they would still be in the same room together, they would not appear for a photo op together. And which is a shame for all the fans, because what a great, I mean, we're right at the end of all of those careers. What a great photo opportunity, but they wouldn't do it. So it's definitely something that we have to consider. And a lot of that stuff, like that one is a very public kind of feud. I have no idea what the feud is about. I have no idea. But that's very public. But there's a lot of them that are behind the scenes that even I don't know about until I book them, and they're like, I don't like that guy. I'm not going if you have that guy there. And I'm like, what? So yeah, it definitely has. The wrestlers are really not that bad about it though, because even if they have heat with another guy, they understand what the fan wants to see usually. Now, there's some exceptions to that, but most of the time they'll be like, "No, I'll be fine. Well,
and I think that comes from, they're in a world where it's their job. They have to work, even if they don't like the person, they have to work.
Right. They have to work with them, and they have to get in the ring and actually work with them. So standing next to them for a picture is not a big deal.
Yeah. It's kind of a sad thing to hear as a fan. Like, there's got to be those moments where a fan would be like, you couldn't set that aside for one picture,
Yeah,
weekend.
I will tell you that usually, and this is from top to bottom, every guest that we have, when I work with them, I'm either like, man, I'd really like to get to know them better. They're really cool. Or I'd be like, nope, we're not having them again. So that's it. It's one or the other. And and the fans, like a lot of times the fans don't see it, which is good because they are actors, so they get out there and they put on their face for the fans, and they do what they're going to do, and God bless them for it, because that's all the fans need to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that for the better part of the past 3 years, the COVID pandemic was a big part of all of our lives. How did the Fanboy experience live on during the heat of the pandemic?
We've had a really rough couple of years, but when it first hit, and we had to move the first couple of shows because we didn't know what was going on, we got hit hard, because a lot of people, and rightly so, they wanted their money back because they didn't know what was going on, and we tried to be as open about that as we could. Listen, if you guys can keep your tickets, we would love it, but we'll give you your money back if you need your money back. But I didn't want the whole thing. There was some conventions that just shut down. They just completely shut down for a year and a half, 2 years, some of them 2 years. Even San Diego Comic-Con, 2 years, just shut it down. And I wanted to stay connected with everybody that usually comes to the show. So what we started doing was what we called the Fanboy signings. And during the whole pandemic, I traveled all over the country doing autograph signings with different celebrities. And you could go online and, you could send your stuff in, or you could buy an 8x10, you can get it personalized, you could get it, authenticated, all of that. And then I would do the signing and then come back home here to Vegas and spend the next 5 days mailing out like crazy to get everybody their stuff. So it was back-breaking work, and it didn't really make us any money because we would have to commit to a certain number with each celebrity. And if we didn't hit that in sales, well, then I just have to pay for those, and I just have them in stock,
Whoa.
So we didn't really make much money out of it. But what it did do was it kept everybody engaged on the Facebook page, on Instagram, on the website, and people were really excited about some of the signings we did.
I can tell you personally, it paid off. Because of that, I have a Jim Cummings autograph on a Darkwing Duck picture and a personalized video.
Yeah, that probably didn't come from us though. If it was a personalized video, that probably came from because there was a few of them doing it. So that might have come from like GalaxyCon or something like that. So
I can't remember, but my now fiance, she did it for a birthday present because we didn't attend any cons.
It was right, and it was really the best way for us to stay connected with you guys, to be able to say, hey, we're still here, we're still working for you guys, we're still trying to make sure that you guys get your fix on this fandom stuff, and we'll see you as soon as we can get back to in-persons.
Wow.
All right, David, I got to ask this question because I know what it would be like in some cases for my friend Tyler here and I. I've been to a lot of conventions, right? And I've had a lot of celebrity encounters one way or the other. And there's been a few times where it's been my turn, or I've been face to face with the person. And sometimes unexpectedly, I'm just completely starstruck. Like, have you, rubbing elbows with all these people. Have you ever had an experience like that where you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm talking to this person, and you just sort of stumble all over yourself because you're so starstruck?
It's never happened in person, and I think that's because I'm working, so it doesn't hit you the same way. But I will tell you that, like, the one time that I can say that I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened, was a few years ago when I was in the beginning negotiations with to have Gene Simmons come out to the show, and I was going back and forth in email with his assistant, which I'm pretty sure was him, but and then just out of the blue, I got this restricted phone call on my phone. So I answered it, and he was like, hello, David, this is Gene Simmons.
Wow.
And I was like, what? And we had about a 25-minute conversation, not only about his appearance and about the show, but just about life in general. So, and I'm not even the biggest Kiss fan in the world, but it's Gene Simmons on the phone with me,
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I will say the only other thing that it's not really like starstruck moment, but there are relationships that I established with some of these guys, especially if we have them multiple years. League Majors is one of those, because we've had them multiple times. And I sometimes think to myself, like, I'm friends with Lee Majors. Like,
yeah.
So that is sometimes those, and there's not very many of those. There's only a few. Lee is one of them. Bruce Kulick is another one. And I actually, as we got things started, before we did Fanboy, I had a couple, like Rig, those other one, that I if we see each other, we'll hang out together, we'll go to dinner, and so when I have those, Sid Haig was another one. Those are the ones that I'm kind of like, I'm sitting here with Sid Haig, So it's not starstruck. It's just like, how lucky am I to be able to do this with such interesting, really interesting people. So,
well, the horror fan in me just became jealous when you mentioned Sid Haig.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sid
Really awesome.
and Bill are the best guys ever. I love Bill, and I'm so sorry that we don't have Sid anymore.
I know. That's a heartbreaking one.
Yeah.
If you can share some things, what are some future plans for Fanboy Expo that may be coming down the pipeline?
Well, I will tell you this, and by the time you guys air this, it'll be announced. But while I was scrambling to get this interview in with you guys, I've spent the last 4 or 5 days exhaustingly working on one more guest for this year's Fanboy, and it's a big. So and we will Thursday, July 21st, and we will announce it in the morning. We'll announce it. So, and it's one of it's a guest that I'd been working on for a few months ago, and the deal kind of fell apart a little bit, but then they came back to me because they were available still, and I thought, okay, this might be something that, just in case we lose one of our biggies this year, this would fit in there. So it's a possibility, but we're pushing it through, and it looks like I'll be announcing it in the morning. So,
and I just missed the whole thing because I had to get my kids pajamas. What was it?
He's saying that they've been back and forth with the guest, and it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But in the morning, he'll be announcing a big addition to
this year's convention.
Okay.
So,
Very
so
exciting.
that's probably just hours away. It was really difficult to put together for this appearance, but I thought, you know what, if they're available, let's go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
As far as in future Fanboys, we are actually going to change our format just a little bit. Starting next year, well, actually starting kind of in at the Indianapolis show this year, and it's not. I mean, it's really not going to affect anybody too much in a negative way. It's going to be a positive thing. But we're going to. We usually have anywhere from 40 to 60 guests at the Knoxville show.
Yeah,
and then also the artists, and that always has worked out really well for us. The Knoxville crowd really likes to be able to mingle and meet a lot of different guests. The problem is that in our current environment, flights and travel are about double what they were even 6 months ago. Yes. So it's always been a real challenge getting people in and out of Knoxville because our airport there is just small.
Yeah.
So with that said, a normal flight from LA to Knoxville usually would run you almost double what a flight from like LA to LA to New York would. So all these big major markets were actually not spending as much money as I did on flights because it was easier to get, and there's absolutely nothing direct from LA to Knoxville ever.
Yeah.
So it's always been a challenge, and people that'll listen to this, some of them will understand that challenge because they'll show up on Sunday at 2:00 or 2:30 or 3:00, and the guest they wanted to meet is already gone, that's because they had an earlier flight because their later flight got canceled, or that, so it's always kind of been a challenge for us. Well, that has been just blown 3 times what it was before. So between the gas prices and the prices of flights, but also because of the number of flights we have, where we used to have 5 or 6 flights out of Knoxville on a Sunday. Now we have like 2. And once those are filled up, they're filled up. That's it. So what we're going to have to do to kind of combat that is we're going to reduce the size of our guest list starting next year, but we're going to increase the level of guests. And not that I want to say anything disparaging against some of the what we some people might call a smaller guest. But guests that have a bigger impact, because it's actually going to benefit us to grow the show, but also we just have time to get everybody in and out. So that'll be changing. So instead of there being 40 to 60 guests, there'll be 30 to 40 total guests. So it really won't impact too much. It'll just be a little bit like, whoa, I can't believe that person is sitting there, which I hope people get that already from Fanboy and East Tennessee.
So. Listen, I've had great experiences at your conventions over the years. I mean, and even like, guess I was excited to meet, but like walking away, having such an incredible experience. Like, for example, Doug Jones is one of my favorite encounters that I've ever had of all time. Just like the sweetest man ever. Roddy Piper, who I was fortunate enough to get to meet him at your show like a couple weeks before he passed away. So
that was the same one I met Eric Balfour and Edge, and they were just delights.
Yeah, absolutely, just wonderful people. And that's the same thing. Like, we've had James Marsters a couple times from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, fantastic guy. So we want to focus more on those experiences to make sure that not only that you get the autograph and the photo op that you want, but that you get it at a good price and that you get the experience, like you have this Edge experience you can take with you for the rest of your life, or this Roddy Piper. That's the kind of stuff that we like.
Yeah. So, all right. So we've been talking about the future, and let's talk about the present. So we've got a convention coming up in 2 weeks in Knoxville. What are we excited about? What's happening? What can people expect? Who can they meet? What's the deal?
So our headliner this year, our biggie this year, is Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future and Addams Family and Taxi and all of those. He'll be there Friday and Saturday. We've got Lee Majors coming, $6 Million Man. We've got guys from MASH for the ladies, and actually me too. We've got a reunion from Little House on the Prairie that is very rare. They just started doing this kind of stuff. We've got the Chips guys.
My mother is so excited about Eric Estrada. Like, the price of admission just for her to lay eyes on the man is worth it alone. But
I can almost guarantee you he will, if she lays eyes long enough, he will say, come on over, and he'll give her a big old hug. He's really the best.
She's actually met him once before, but she's excited to do it again.
Yeah, he's really fantastic. We've got Morgan Fairchild from the 80s. We've got, for the younger crowd, we've got the cast of Avatar, the voiceover guys from Avatar coming out. We've got Bret the Hitman Hart and Godfather and Rikishi and Jerry the King Lawler, and there's something for everybody.
Ricky Steamboat too.
Ricky Steamboat's coming out. Yeah.
Now he married a Knoxville girl, so I'm sure he's happy to be there.
He did, and he lives just outside of town, so he's a great guy.
His is probably a pretty easier get than it used to be.
Yeah, for sure.
We're also stoked about Keith David coming down because, and look, so like, I know who he is and everything, but I went and looked him up the other day just as a refresher, and he has done so many incredible things that are relevant, like right now, like video games and movies. Man, he was in Stargirl, so like he's a part of the DC like television universe. He's done
He was in
Family
They
Guy. They Live, which speaking of Roddy Piper, that's I mean, that's a favorite. So
for me, it's They Live is my big Keith David and Platoon. But he, because we'll run an ad like on Facebook, and then I pay attention to like all of the comments we get. Most everybody is like newer stuff. Like he's the Arbiter on Halo.
Yes,
and
Dr.
he's the
Facilier.
president. He's the president on something.
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. Dr. Facilier in Princess and the Frog. So
he was Goliath when I was a kid in Gargoyle.
Right, he's Goliath in Gargoyles. He's got this. He does the voiceover for like the Earth show, like we talk about, how the Earth changes and everything. Yeah. So he's just, I mean, the guy's just got so much under his belt. So we're really excited. We've been trying to get him. Boondocks. Sorry. Yeah. We've been trying to get the guy to come to a show for a couple of years now, and he's just so busy that he always has to cancel. So we're really excited that he's not actually going to be there. So.
The Boondock Saints is another favorite movie of mine, and a lot of people I know. So David De La Rocca's coming, and Sean Patrick Flannery, who was just in The Boys, the newest season of The Boys.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
And both great guys.
That went under our radar too. Like it was like we were doing our Boys episode, like rehashing the season 3, and Josh was like, "Did you catch that? Sean Patrick Flannery was Gunpowder in The Boys?" And I said, "No, it just slipped by me because there's already so many people in the show."
Yeah, and he's a great guy. And then also you've got Adasa, who is one of the voiceovers from Encanto, and she is just the best. So
and
if you're going to bring your kids,
she won't talk about Bruno though, so don't even ask.
She won't talk about Bruno, but she'll make you sing it with her. So she really is the best. She's so gentle and sweet to all the young ones that come up and meet her. And if you've got kids that are into that movie, you have to at least go say hi. And it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, I've got a little one that'll be very excited about that. So
yeah, I have a 14-year-old that's very excited to meet her. So.
Oh yeah, listen, I'm a high school teacher, so and I'm a fine arts teacher, so I've got kids walking down the hallway singing "We Don't Talk About Bruno" for 6 months or so. So, it's just a normal day for me. Wow. So beyond that, we've got Thomas Jane from the original Punisher movie showing up.
Thomas Jane, also a kind of a rare guy to get out because he's so busy. He's Punisher. He was in Stephen King's The Mist. He was in that Deep Blue Sea with the giant shark. He's in The Expanse. He's got a lot of great credits and really an underrated actor, in my opinion. And he has been posting like crazy on his Instagram. So he seems really excited to come to Knoxville and meet everybody.
Wrestling, voice actors, anime, Mandalorian, old school TV shows, Star Trek, Pirates of the Caribbean, you name it. And you guys have got it covered pretty much. So it's going to be a great show. Tyler and I are really stoked about being the MCs for the cosplay contest. Yeah. I'll tell you, we're a little nervous about, we're not big anime guys. Like we're major nerds, but we're not anime guys. And I know there's going to be a lot of anime cosplay, and they're going to look at me with distaste when I mispronounce their character names. So I'm sorry in advance, guys.
And you absolutely will, because you're saying this is Nigashori Takabami, whatever, and they're gonna say, "Oh my gosh, it's the second one. That one's from the first season," and you're gonna be like, "I'm sorry."
We're very excited and we're very thankful to even just get to be a part of it. We're also gonna have a booth, so if you're listening to this, come say hi to us. We can't wait to see everybody. I say all the time that anytime you get a chance to get a nerd herd together celebrating their passions, it's hard to find anything like it. The energy that's in the room, just in the couple of fanboys that I've been to, just the energy is amazing. But before we leave, we like to ask our guests some questions of sort of a homage to Inside the Actor Studio, if you will.
Okay.
And it's like
So-
rapid fire.
It's a rapid fire. So
All right.
who is your favorite superhero?
When I was growing up, it was Incredible Hulk.
Nice.
Who's your
Yeah,
favorite
'cause-
villain?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Darth Vader.
Darth Vader. Oh,
Nice.
good one.
All right.
Yeah, it's got a Darth Vader. So much character to him.
Yeah. And I will have to say, you know, wherever you stand with, like, since Disney took over Star Wars, they've done some great things and some bad things, but they've never done bad to Darth Vader.
No,
Every
he gets
moment he's gotten,
yeah.
it's been
I-
amazing.
and this isn't a rapid fire question, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I cannot stand episodes 7, 8, 9. I think they're terrible. But I absolutely love Mandalorian, and I loved Book of Boba Fett, and I actually
Good,
really enjoyed Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, that's awesome. So here's a big question. Marvel or DC?
Marvel. DC is too dark for me. It's just too dark. I mean, I love the characters. I love the concepts that they have there. Except for I'm not a big Superman fan because
Yeah.
there's no weakness. So
We
it
aren't
is-
either.
Yeah.
I'm the Marvel guy.
uh,
He's the DC guy, though.
And Batman is just a little bit too complex. I like the Marvel just because it's still kind of cartoony and it makes me think about being a kid.
Okay. Very
I
fair.
like that. I like that.
All-time favorite franchise.
Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
You
Absolutely,
are
Lord of the
right
Rings.
up our alley, my friend. All right. Next,
Uh,
when we see you in person, I got to show you my Gandalf tattoo, and there's a great story that goes along with it. Trust me. So
Okay.
we'll have to meet up.
Yeah.
And finally, if you could have any superpower from any universe of pop culture, what would it be?
So immediately I would think I'd want to be like Jean Grey or Professor X, where I can like read people's minds and kind of manipulate or whatever. But then if I think about that for more than like 45 seconds, I'm like, I don't want that. That's disgusting. I don't want to be in people's minds. It's in there. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with something a little bit out of the norm, and I'm gonna go with the shoveler from Mystery Men because he shoveled well.
I was not
That-
expecting that. Wow.
That way, here's why. That way, I can still participate. And I'm technically still a superhero. There's really low expectations for me.
That is the best answer. Wow.
That was the best, like, William H. Macy call out that
I-
anyone could ever
I was going to
have.
say, we were just talking about the price of plane tickets, and here's your opportunity for flight, and you just go in a completely different direction
No,
with it.
here's why. If I was flight and they would be like, listen, we're gonna have to get you to do this, and I'd be like, nobody is going to the shoveler and saying, listen, you're gonna have to stay in the universe. They'd be like, well, I guess we'll take this guy with us too, and I'd be like, yes,
I'm part of the team.
that's right.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's the best answer we've ever gotten.
That's incredible. That's one for the books, kids, for sure.
Yes, it is. David, thank you so much for your time. Before you leave, run it over it again. When is it? Where is it? And how can people get tickets?
August 5th through the 7th, over the Knoxville in the downtown area. Go to fanboyexpo.com. You can either go straight to fanboyexpo.com, or you can put the slash in there and go Knoxville, fanboyexpo.com, Knoxville. And tickets are available, fan packages are available, autographs, photo ops, all of that is available. Or you can buy in person. You can do that. It's all available all the way up until the time you walk up and redeem your ticket or buy your ticket. And then don't forget also, on Saturday night, we've got our VIP party that is basically for everybody in Market Square, and the Gigawatts, the house band will be playing. So we want to see everybody come out and support the Gigawatts and do some after party stuff with us. Maybe have an adult beverage and an appetizer.
Yes,
We'll be there.
We love the Market Square area. It's so great.
Absolutely.
It's a nice little thing that Knoxville has going for it. And also there's links in our bios on all of our social media for 30 Nerdy Podcast that will send you to their website. So you can find information there, how to get tickets. Follow Fanboy Expo on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all the social medias, and stay up to date with them. Thank you again, David.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And we hope to see you soon.
All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.
See you, David.
Bye-bye.